Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Engage A podcast. I am Josh with my co-host Mike. Today we have a ton to cover. It is obviously the Super Bowl episode. We're going to preview the Super Bowl. We're going to give you our prop bets. We'll do three props each and one straight bet on the spread or the over/under. We're going to discuss the NFL awards that happened last night as we're recording this on Friday. But before we discuss any of those, we have to start with the NBA trade deadline, the biggest trade possibly in NBA history here. Luka, Anthony Davis, no exaggeration. This is the worst trade at the time of the trade I've ever seen. Many trades are okay at the time, but they end up being horrible trades as time goes on and players develop in their career. This one is just immediately horrible. The only thing I can think that can compare to this, and this one's more of a long term, but the Cowboys Herschel Walker trade, the Vikings get Herschel Walker, the Cowboys get like 4 or 5 first round picks. They turn it into Emmitt Smith, Darren Woodson, a couple other guys. Cowboys go on to win 3 Super Bowls in the 90s after that trade. There's only two explanations to me as to why this could have happened. One, of course, is Luka wanting out and just didn't say anything. All the reports, though, say this isn't true. Regardless, I don't really, it's hard to believe reports these days, but the reports are that this is not true. I understand why he'd want to hide it if he wanted out because he's such a Dallas guy, but at the same time, I just don't see this as truth. I see this as the second explanation. I see this as a favor from Nico Harrison to Rob Pelinka. Back in the day, Kobe Bryant was an Adidas athlete, and he made a big switch to Nike. Nico Harrison was a Nike rep at the time. The Nike rep that landed him, of course, was Nico Harrison, and Kobe Bryant's agent at the time was Rob Pelinka. Fast forward to 2025. Maybe Harrison felt a little indebted to Pelinka for that monster move that helped Harrison's career completely back in the 90s. So he gave him a steal of a deal and didn't tell anyone. That's what I feel like had to have happened here. I understand why the Mavs would want AD. I think he's a solid fit as the four next to Kyrie, but never in any circumstance do you trade a top three player at age 25. The Lakers were set to be a really bad team once LeBron retired and AD continued to grow old, and it would have set them very, very far back into the late Kobe era days when they were one of the worst teams in the league. But adding a top three player at age 25 completely resets their franchise, and they're going to be good again for many, many years. The Mavs now put themselves in a spot where they have to win a title with this group, or this is no question the worst trade of all time. If Harrison just put Luka on the open market, I guarantee you they get a minimum of 5 first round picks for him. I don't understand it. I hate it, but this is a league that there's a lot of inner working relationships, and that's just the nature of the league.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we see massive trades every single season, but this trade is really non-comparable to any of those big trades that we've seen, even for agency signings. It's just was unbelievable. The first time you see it, you just think it can't be real yet. Shams has to be hacked. Uh, just it was simply unbelievable to everybody. I couldn't imagine being a Mavericks fan. That would just probably be the worst feeling. The only thing I could compare that to is as a Colts fan, Andrew Luck retiring is just you have a singular person in Nico Harrison to blame for it. So I just could not imagine. I almost agree. I feel like it almost the way this trade happens, it has to almost be collusion with Palinka. I don't know. We've heard that the third team in the trade, the Utah Jazz, in order to make the money work, they had to have a third team, and the Jazz didn't really know what was going on until like 20 minutes before the trade officially went through. They were just told that they'll get Hood Schifino a couple picks, and just they need a little bit of money balance and that's what they were in there for. Who knows if Danny Ainge, if he knew the whole scope of this trade, if he would have even helped them with this trade. It's unbelievable. Maybe they were concerned about his weight, but I cannot believe that that can really be true at all. This guy,
270.
yeah. And when you watch the video of him shooting yesterday at the Lakers facility, in no way did he look 270. He did not look that big, but even if they're concerned about his conditioning and whatever, we saw in the finals his conditioning wasn't good, his defense was not good. The fact that they were in the finals was because of mainly Luka Doncic in the first place, him and Kyrie, and Luka was the main factor. He was an offensive masterpiece, one of a great playoff performance to get them there. And less of 8 months later, here we are talking about how he's traded. It's unbelievable to just even think about. I don't know. Anthony Davis to the Mavs, it's just not Luka. Obviously, he's going to help with their defense. They're going to be a very good defensive team. But like you said, if they don't win a championship within 2 years, this trade is an absolute failure and going to be viewed as one of the worst trades, no matter what. It's a lot of pressure on him already. A 2029 first round pick. That's what probably someone that's like a freshman in high school right now potentially. And Max Christie's a solid player, but just really no understanding of how this could even happen. And like you said, if Luka goes on the market, you could get 5 first round picks. You could get 3 first round picks and just another star player, 2 star players. There would be teams that would have been willing to give way more than just an aging veteran in Anthony Davis, who's a great player, but he's aging, has injury issues, and just really not a long term player for the Mavericks. So it's just I can't even. It doesn't even make sense.
A little bit in the Mavs defense here. Well, first of all, I'll say the 270 thing's a little bit blown out of proportion because he's 6'7". So
Yeah,
obviously he's going to be a little bit bigger weight wise. But in the defense of the Mavs, I do agree with what Wendy was saying during the playoffs last year, during the NBA Finals, I
yeah.
believe. He has an attitude problem. He doesn't seem like the best teammate at times. He is injury prone, which people don't really mention enough. He gets hurt a lot. He's hurt right now, actually, I'm pretty sure.
He's supposed to
So
be coming back today, I think, or tomorrow.
he's coming back Monday now, apparently.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, he has injury concerns and he's going into a contract year. I think maybe the Mavs were saying that they apparently, which doesn't make any sense, the Mavs didn't want or they didn't know if he was going to sign the Supermax and they didn't know if they wanted him to. I don't even know what the fuck that means. What do you mean you were willing to just go to the contract or go to the offseason and be like, oh, okay, you don't want to sign? Let's go. We'll just let you walk. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I just don't understand what the Mavs are thinking. There has to be something else. And I think maybe whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, a couple months from now, I think the truth will eventually be set free.
Yeah, and if we still had David Stern as the acting, what do you call it,
Commissioner.
commissioner of the NBA, who knows if this trade even goes through? But
Yeah.
Adam Silver doesn't have a backbone to really stop anything from happening. So
And I don't think he has any problem with one of the league's most
yeah,
popular players, especially an international player, going to the league's biggest market.
and I mean he's going to the biggest market, but that's just unfortunately the issue that a lot of people have with the NBA is that the big market teams keep getting all the stars. It's harder for a small market team to keep going. And I mean, Dallas is a big market, but it's not anywhere near the Lakers' value.
Mhm.
And just seeing Luka in a Lakers jersey just didn't feel right.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's not impossible that this doesn't work out for the Lakers. Imagine the situation where you get to the offseason and Luke
He
is like,
doesn't.
I'm
Yeah,
good. Goes back to Dallas. No, he wouldn't do that, but
he wouldn't go back to Dallas, but
no. I mean,
I would love for that to happen because I just don't want to see Luka as the face of the Lakers.
right. And he did make the finals last year. I think that's being a little bit blown out of proportion. They beat some young teams. They got there to the finals. They kind of didn't look like they had a chance against the Celtics in the finals.
I don't know who would have had a chance against the Celtics though.
Right. Right. But I I mean, we'll see. I think he's a winning player, but I think he has some attributes to his game that aren't winning attributes. And I guess he's more of a winning player than Anthony Davis, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean they didn't even really have a chance to Luka to really show that he can go out in the playoffs and that he learned his lesson almost. They
Yeah.
didn't even really give him a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't going to change. He's still going to be injury prone. He's still going to complain at the refs. He's still going to be a questionable teammate, but
But
his
he's
skill
still going to
set.
get buckets.
Yeah,
So,
he's still going to go get you 40 a night in the playoffs. So it's it would be a risk if the Lakers traded a ton of assets for him, but because they didn't, it's not really a
and
risk
that's
anymore.
that's the other thing. Yeah, they got rid of Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and Jalen Hood-Schifino for him. I mean,
Hmm.
3 guys. We know they made another trade, getting rid of a couple guys, but that's just not really a big haul at all for what you're getting. And it sounds like the Lakers at first had talked about it being Davis Connect, a couple first round picks, and Christie, and they withered it down to just Davis Christie, that 29 first round pick.
That would have been a steal with Connect and a couple picks.
Yeah,
It's absolutely wild. But we'll move on here to the next big trade. Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox. Bulls finally offload Zach LaVine. Bulls do not get a single first round pick for LaVine, DeRozan, and Caruso. While I agree that's insane that they didn't end up getting a first at all for those 3 guys, You got to look at the individual trades. DeRozan was a sign and trade, and he's getting older in his career. He probably was never going to get a first round pick. Zach LaVine, he has a horrible contract. He has some significantly bad decision making issues, especially late in game. He's not a guy that you want late in game with the ball. So that's another situation. And we've known for years now, or over a year, that he wasn't going to get a first round pick. So that shouldn't be shocking at all. Caruso, on the other hand, definitely should have landed them a first. That was a bad trade with Giddy, but we knew that off rip. The Bulls, though, they now finally get a full reset. They should be in full tank mode now. The Spurs get to pair their guy with the Wemby and De'Aaron Fox here. De'Aaron's one of the best clutch players in the game. I believe it was last year or the year before. He had the best clutch rating by far. He's a great lead guard. Spurs managed to do this without losing any major draft capital or any of their key young players. They're building a monster over there. They have an infinite amount of draft picks, two great players in De'Aaron and Wemby, a ton of great young players in Vassell and Castle. This team is really, really good, or going to be really, really good. The Kings, I don't quite know what they're doing now. They have talent, but I don't know how DeMar and Levine are going to fare in a Sabonis-led system. DeMar has not been phenomenal in that system so far. Of course, De'Aaron Fox was there, but the Spurs are by far the biggest winner of this trade. They're looking great right now, and they are a sleeping giant.
They are. Love this trade for them. It had been a lot of talk about maybe the Spurs, at least in the offseason, going for a guy like Trae Young, but they get a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who I think is going to be very good for this Spurs team. Just a guy who's quick, can get downhill. You really don't have. He's going to get to the basket, and if you stop him from getting to the basket, they have a 7'6", 7 foot just giant there of Wembanyama. I think that duo is going to be very good for a very long time. We saw it a little bit in their first game, De'Aaron Fox. They have played. I didn't get to watch the full game, but the highlights of it, it's going to be tough to guard both of those guys. De'Aaron Fox, he's averaging 25 points per game right now. He's a very good guard, and him and Wemby, that's just a very good duo. Like you said, the Bulls trade Zach LaVine. He goes to the Kings. He's back reunited with DeMar DeRozan. The Kings are going to try to maybe make that work, as we saw it really didn't in Chicago. They Kings do get a multitude of first round picks, 25, 27, 31, and then a couple second round picks. And for the Bulls, they get Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Jones, just adding to the Chicago Bulls guard list. I think they got 7 guards right now that all are decent and could see the lineup, and they decided to trade 0 of them, which that makes no sense to me. They, like you said, they got rid of Caruso, Levine, DeRozan, and really got no first round picks, just their first round pick back, but that was already protected. You just wish you could have got more, especially with how they're looking right now. At least get draft picks. They're not looking good for the future, but it sounds like, according to their GM, making the play-in would be a blessing. So I guess they're trying to stay out of the draft lottery for multiple guys who I think are going to be great NBA players. I think Ace Bailey is going to be very good, and then obviously you have Cooper Flag, who's going to be a star immediately. And the Bulls don't want to tank for him, I guess. So that just makes no sense to me. The Bulls have no direction. I really just don't even want to talk about any Jerry Reinsdorf-led teams. But I love this trade for the Spurs. I think Fox and Wemby, and like you said, Castle's going to be a star. Vassell, they have guys.
And what was that Bulls starting lineup the other night? It was like the 4 point guards and Vooch. It was like
Yeah.
Io, Lonzo,
Um,
um, Kobe,
Kobe.
and was it Javon Carter maybe? I don't
It
remember.
could have been. I just know they had. I was playing small forward.
Yeah, it was 4 point guards and Vooch, which is just a hilarious lineup to run, especially when Vooch isn't good.
Yeah, and then they add Kevin Huerter and Trey Jones, who it sounded like they were going to try to trade and just immediately try to just trade, maybe get some second round picks, but they decided to hold on to basically have every mid guard in the NBA.
At
They
least
did sign,
Porter's a little bit. Herder is a little bit bigger, right?
yeah.
He's like a shooting guard, at
They at
least.
least did sign Lonzo Ball to a little
Yes.
extension, 2 years, 20 million. I think that's a good deal for him. He's really the only guy on the Bulls right now that's fun to watch. Kobe White is too, but he's fun to watch, and you're glad to have a guy like that on your team. Especially the fact that he's brothers with one of the best rappers out there right now.
He is, and streets are saying he's going 3 for 3 now. My brother just sent me a DM about it. So
Oh, 3 for 3. I mean, I heard he was two. Is that the one from last night, or is there
apparently,
another one?
apparently, there's another one.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, somebody
Dello.
stop that man. Come on, G3.
I will say I heard the Lil Wayne verse wasn't the best, but
I haven't heard it yet. I gotta like I didn't know it was out yet.
I just heard it on Twitter. I think he said baby like a million times.
Wheezy F. But move on here. Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins trade. Jimmy finally finds his way out of Miami. He stated a few days ago that he wouldn't sign an extension with any team but Phoenix, but ends up doing so in Golden State 2 year extension. Golden State really wanted to get anyone. Apparently, they reached out to every All Star, including Kevin Durant, because they don't want to waste their last few years of Curry, which I get. I mean, you only have a couple more years of your best player in franchise history, one of the best players in NBA history. So I like them trying to be aggressive and trying to keep his career alive here. I like the fit to take some pressure off Curry. Hopefully, Jimmy can stay healthy here in the regular season. He's been rested for so long with being suspended. He's going to come back and be a little bit rusty, but I think it's a good fit for them. Heat get a first round pick and PJ Tucker, who they ended up trading, as well as Andrew Wiggins. It's a very decent return for them, honestly, when you have a guy that wants out of your team so badly that he's getting suspended by the team president. It's great that you can go get a first round pick. That doesn't happen very often. As badly as I wanted Jimmy on the Suns, once the rumors of trading KD for him arise, I was just happy to know that that didn't happen because that would have been a big mistake. Looks like the Suns were ready to do the trade, sending KD to Golden State, bringing Jimmy Butler in, Andrew Wiggins going to Miami. KD did not want to do that trade. He wanted to stay in Phoenix, and the Suns kept him there. It's always good to listen to your players' wishes. I completely agree with that. But at the same time, now you're in a situation where it's a toxic environment. People are saying, I think it was Ramona Shelburne said it was toxic. Uh, Brian Windhorst said it was toxic. So just you hate to see that. And I don't know why they even consider trading KD for Jimmy. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that really doesn't make any sense. That you'd want to probably pair those together, but it's not. I mean, I don't know what you can do with Bradley Beal. Jimmy Butler goes to the Warriors. Very interesting dynamic there. He's really not. He can shoot the ball, but he's not much of a shooter. You put him and Draymond Green together. That's not the best 3-point shooting you can have. And two guys who are very um, they can blow up at any moment, like bipolar guys. But I think those are great players. Their defense should improve with Jimmy Butler a little bit. Wiggins, you hate to see a guy like that go. He won a championship with them. Was one of Steve Kerr's favorite players. But now you get a guy like Jimmy Butler. You sign him to a little extension. You give Curry one more star to try to get him out there and go and make a run for a championship. So I think it's a move you kind of had to make for Curry as he's getting older. And yeah, we see PJ Tucker go to the Raptors. He's been moved around a lot. Josh Richardson goes to the Jazz. And I think the Wiggins, or like you said, the return for the Heat was decent with Wiggins, Anderson, Davion Mitchell. And we'll just see if Jimmy Butler can get it done there.
And every single year in the NBA trade deadline, the West gets better. It's
Every
crazy.
Yeah.
You would think that the East would have no players left. Every year, the West gets better.
I don't know if the East just if no one thinks they can compete with the Celtics at this point or what.
I mean, it's not even that. The Cavs are
The
amazing.
Cavs, yeah, the Cavs are good too, and the Cavs made a nice move.
Did you see that the Cavs played the Mavericks when the Mavericks were doing like their boycott game after Luka
Oh
and they
yeah,
put up like 90 in the first
it was
half?
it was it was like 90 to 46,
Yeah.
91 to 46 or something. I
Yeah,
don't
it was
know.
something wild, and that's just unbelievable. The Cavs are so good.
They
People are
are.
talking about them because their record's so good, but they're still amazing. I'm hoping they get better so the Celtics odds drop a little bit for the title and I can get them at
Yeah,
good odds for future. But Celtics are still the favorite.
Cavs got to
Um,
just do it in the playoffs though. That's what,
yeah, they do. But this is an East trade here. Middleton going it to Washington for Kyle Kuzma. I don't know about this trade for Milwaukee. I know the Bucks wanted to do something, and it feels like they kind of forced us a little bit. I think Kuz is a very good scorer, but I just don't think he's a winning player. Middleton is a winning player who I've always thought is a little bit overrated, but at the same time, I don't know if this is a massive upgrade for the Bucks. Milwaukee did need a switch up though, and Giannis isn't getting any younger, so I like that they're taking a chance to at least try and make this team more of a championship threat while they still have Giannis. Speaking of Giannis, apparently there was a an offer to Milwaukee for Luka with Giannis. Apparently that was the other team that
oh,
Nico Harrison was talking to, and the Bucks did not want to do that. So I mean, I get it. I think I'd probably rather have Giannis as far as the intangibles go. But even though Luka's a more skilled player, in my opinion, Giannis has a title. He seems like more of a team player than Luka overall and less injury prone. But Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this trade. What I do feel is I think they did Chris Middleton extremely dirty. Sending him to
Yeah, to
Washington after all he
Washington
did
is
for you is it's fucked up, but it is what it is, nature of the league, like I said.
yeah. The NBA is really the league that teams really just don't care at all. They'll send you anywhere,
But at the same
which
time,
is
it's not though, because if you're good enough, they won't. Except for the Luka. Luka's like an anomaly. The past few years, it's been if a player wants to go to a team,
I
that's
get
where they're
yeah,
going.
true.
But
But anybody can get traded, is what I
yes,
mean.
yeah, except for Bradley Beal.
Yeah, except for Bradley Beal, and I think you're going to see a lot more players start signing more and more no trade clauses with I mean
They're
the
gonna lose
Luka
money doing that.
situation. Yeah, I mean Luka, how much money Luka lost just by that trade is honestly, I
100
mean,
M's.
100 million. You think about the taxes
Yep.
and just the extension because of the home team, but
Losing
interesting.
100 M's and going from no state income tax to the highest state income tax in the country is
Yeah,
tough, especially in California when because it goes based on where you play your games. And the entire outside of the Suns, that entire division, the Pacific Division, is all California teams. So
yeah,
you're paying California tax for like 60, 70% of your games, which is brutal.
yeah, just not great. Uh, like you said, Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks. Interesting move there. I don't think this is going to put the Bucks over the hump in the East at all. I think the Cavs are still way better than them. The Celtics are obviously still better than them. And adding Jericho Sims, Patrick Baldwin, I just don't think that's going to do enough for this Bucks team. We see Lillard just hasn't really been the greatest fit there in Milwaukee. Wizards get Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson. Wizards were very active at the deadline, made a couple of moves. I just yeah, I don't think this really puts the Bucks over anything, but it'll be interesting to see how Giannis is able to play with Kuzma. Kuzma's finally on a winning team. Can we see Kuzma play good winning basketball? I don't know.
Okay, I have a couple other random ones here. Just run through really quickly. Suns trade Yusuf Nurkic for nothing. He is worth nothing, so this is a fair trade. He's being paid way too much, so I'm just happy he's gone and away from the Suns as he basically has been for the past month now. Bogdanovich goes to the
Eh,
Clippers
you
in
get you do get Cody Martin back in the state
that's
though.
the worst of the two Martins, though.
I know, but he's back in his state. Or no, no,
He's
he's not. He's from
Nevada.
Nevada.
I
Yeah,
don't
he's
think he's
home.
from Nevada. He just went to Nevada.
Nah, no, he was a bucket at Nevada. So
He was, but he is the worst of the two, unfortunately. Um, Bogdanovich goes to the Clippers for Bones Highland and Trey Mann. All three of these dudes are great role players. I do believe Bogdanovich is the best three, which still is a wild name to me, but Bogdanovich is the best of these three, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit of an overpay for the Clippers, but we'll see what they're trying to build over there. They're in a weird situation. The Cavs trade for DeAndre Hunter. He's a great two-way player that just makes the league's best team at the moment even better. I know they traded away Karis LeVert and who else did they trade away? Karis LeVert, a pick, and somebody else, I think, but still, people are calling it an overpay. I don't think it is. DeAndre Hunter's a great two-way player. This Cavs team's already dominant defensively, and he could still get a bucket as well. So
or
this
just
team,
Niang.
yeah, Niang. So I think it's a good trade for them. Lakers, you teased it earlier, connect for Mark Williams. Both players are very good. Williams is older and very, or sorry, yeah, Williams is a little bit older, of course. Connect is an old rookie, but still Williams is older, and he's very injury prone, so it's risky. But the Lakers need a center after getting a steal for Luka, so it may be worth it. And then final one I have here, Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. Ingram's a very good player, but this is kind of an irrelevant trade because the Pelicans and the Raptors are so bad. The Raptors are in a weird spot. They have a good guy in Scotty Barnes. They have some decent role players around him, Emmanuel quickly, but Brandon Ingram is a great scorer. I think you add a star to this team, and you can continue to slowly rebuild, but accumulate a couple stars as you go. And if you can get to the point where you can get a good team around Ingram and Scotty Barnes by the time they are at least towards the end of their prime, you can start to win some games. So I don't think that's a bad trade for the Raptors.
Yeah, just talking about that trade, I don't think it's a bad trade for the Raptors. I think they get a good bucket, guy who can go get buckets. But for the Pelicans, it's really just kind of crazy how I thought this team was going to be so good. What, like 4, 5 years ago, or whenever they got Zion,
Mhm.
they had Zion, Ingram, Lonzo. They had so many young stars, and it really turned out to nothing. I don't even know if they have really a playoff win with those guys, and now we see them losing them. They
They
got
beat the
Trey
Suns a couple
Murphy.
times. They
Yeah,
took the Suns to six.
yeah, that's true. That Zion was when Zion was healthy. This Pelicans team was good. He's uh played only 15 games this season, averaging 23 points. He's been good. Trey Murphy's been good for him, but really just not the team we were going to expect them to be. It really hasn't worked out for him.
Everyone's gotten hurt. I mean,
Yeah,
Alvarado got hurt. Obviously, Ingram is in and out. Zion's in and out. They have some guy, like you said, Trey Murphy's a really good player. They have a lot of good players, but injuries, of course,
yeah,
derail a season and can derail a franchise.
yeah. Another trade was Marcus Smart goes to the Wizards. They were active. Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis go to the Grizzlies. Kind of irrelevant. I was trying to find. I wanted to get all of them in one, but Dennis Schroeder had some words about how the NBA
I
trade
heard
deadline
that.
works. I'm not gonna say what he said, but he talked about
I'll give my
how
comments
bad
on it.
trade, and then he got traded 4 times after that. So that
I
was just
mean,
hilarious.
that part sucks, but at the same time, Dennis Schroeder and every other player in the NBA is making ridiculous money. So
Yeah.
I think it's silly to complain about, oh, I have to go to Utah, or you could just pick me and trade me wherever. One, be better and you won't get traded wherever. And two, you're making 8 figures to play basketball. So I think complaining about that is just dumb. And we're talking about an all-time bag fumbler here. Never forget when he bet on
Oh yeah.
himself and lost like 10 mil. So
Oh yeah. He was traded 3 times in 24 hours. I think 4 times overall. So he can go get you buckets, but as you can see, it teams really didn't want him.
shocker.
Passed around.
All right. We can move on now to the NFL award. Do you want to walk us through that?
Yes, NFL awards. Before I get started with NFL awards, I did have one thing to say right before that was rest in peace to Virginia McCaskey,
Yes.
102 years old, owner of the Bears, passes away. It'll be interesting
Just
to
a
see what
kid, man.
happens.
Just a
Just a
kid.
kid. It's so sad, so young,
So
so young. 102 though is just a ridiculous age.
yeah.
Um, she saw, I what? She was born in 1923, potentially. That's just so long ago. That's almost she was alive during World War One,
22 possibly. I don't know
almost
when
World
her
War
birthday
One.
was. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Um, but yeah,
She
it'll
was like a grown adult during World War II.
yeah. She could have fought. I mean, she could have been building all
Nah, she
the
couldn't have
machinery.
fought. But
She could have been building the machinery though.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bears. How the I don't know how taxes work and all that, but inheritance tax, how that'll work if the McCaskies can afford it. They're not rich people outside of the NFL. They were kind of just inherited with George Halas. It's not like a Josh Harris where he has so much money, or just these rich people who come into the NFL and raise the prices of buying a team in general. I don't know if they have the money for that or if they'll have to sell. So, but
they're
it,
not free either because there's just never ending McCaskies. So,
yeah, because George McCaskey's been running the team now.
yep.
Her eldest son that's still alive. So, I'm just gonna see what
And
happens
he's
with the
probably like
Bears.
80 at this point,
Yeah, he's pretty old.
too.
Um, But here we are to the NFL awards. The MVP was Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. Kind of a shock, not too much of a shock. Only the second time in NFL history that the first team All Pro quarterback lost to the second team All Pro quarterback. I think it was Peyton Manning lost MVP to like Donovan McNabb or something, and then like John Elway were the only two that had ever been second team quarterback and not won MVP. So. Lamar did deserve the MVP, but so did Josh Allen. It was almost like a co-MVP situation. I wouldn't have hated a co-MVP, but we see Josh Allen win that one. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Pat Surtain, well deserved. Best cornerback in the NFL this season. Really wasn't a pass rusher that had a huge season. I think that was a well deserved one for him. Saquon Barkley, oh boy. We can just start calling this a running back award almost last year with CMC. Lamar, I think, finished second in this, so Lamar leaves the NFL awards with nothing, which I don't think he's going to complain too much about. But Saquon Barkley also well deserved. Oh boy, he could have broken the rushing record if he had played that last game of the season. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jane Daniels also well deserved. He was the best rookie quarterback. Brock Bowers was also should have been. I didn't see the voting breakdown for that award, but Brock Bowers also deserved that one. But Jane Daniels was great this season, and uh, he did deserve it. Jared Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year, really wasn't too much competition for this award. I was, as a Colts fan, hoping Latu would have a better season, but Jared Verse was a great rookie this year for the Rams, helped that defense throughout the season get better and better. Comeback Player of the Year for the second time is Joe Burrow. being back or having being a two-time comeback player of the year is almost more impressive than winning the MVP once. So that's what the people are saying. And then really the only one that I kind of have a problem with is Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. I think Dan Campbell deserved that award with the Lions. They won the division, won the first seat in the NFC, but Kevin O'Connell gets it instead. And then Executive of the Year was Brad Holmes. But going back to Comeback Player of the Year, last thing I have to say about that, it is Joe Burrow back-to-back Comeback Player of the Year, but it's also back-to-back seasons that DeMar Hamlin is the runner-up for Comeback Player of the Year. So maybe next year he can come back and go and get that award.
It's unbelievable that Joe Burrow has two comeback player of the years, and the guy who literally died on the field can't win it.
I know.
It's just wild. But yeah, Pat Surtain, Depoy, very impressive. I was very happy to see him win it. He's just the second corner since 2010, I believe, to win it. Stephon Gilmore won it with the Pats in
Really?
2019. So I'm very happy to see him win it. Josh Allen, like you said, wins it very narrowly over Lamar. I was cool with either one. This felt like a get right to me, though. Lamar had the better stats. You obviously don't include playoffs where Josh Allen won head to head. Lamar won head to head in the regular season. So statistically, it should have been Lamar, but last year it statistically probably should have been Josh. So it feels like they were kind of evening out. It kind of feels like we were led to believe that at some point they were just going to give it to Josh Allen if he had a good enough season. We finally got to that point. The media gets what they want, and the darling wins his MVP. Coach of the year, like you said, KOC wins it over Dan Campbell. KOC did a phenomenal job this year, but Dan Campbell once again gets screwed out of coach of the year. He brought this Lions franchise, who was at rock bottom after Matt Patricia, all the way up to the number one seed. They went and they won whatever it was, 30 out of 45 games or 30 out of 40 games in the regular season, whatever it was. And he still can't win it. Lose it to Dable, lose it to Stefanski, lose it now to KOC. It's disappointing to see. You would think because he is one of the media darlings, you would think they'd eventually just give it to him, but unfortunately, there must be some people who don't like Dan Campbell very much over there.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. The Chiefs have no finalists for any award at the NFL Honors for the fifth time in 6 years in their coaching staff. Only one nominee, no winner of any awards, and comeback player of the year one more time. Anthony Richardson got a fifth place vote for it, so good for
Really?
him. Yeah, you got Anthony Richardson gets a fifth place
Was that
vote for
Jim Irsay
comeback player of the year.
voting?
I don't think it could have been Jim Irsay, but maybe someone in the Colts media.
Had to have been. That's wild. But yeah, that's all I got on the awards.
Yeah, they need to add, well, comeback player of the year, and then I forgot how they worded it, but they need another award for like a guy like Sam Darnold, who most improved. They need a
Most
most
improved,
improved
yeah.
award for the NFL. I don't know how
Oh,
they don't have that yet, but
or
they
a
need to
comeback
have.
from the Dead Award, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
arguing it every year.
Damar Hamlin will win something one day, or he won a. Oh, Walter Payton Man of the Year was Eric Armstead as well. Uh, I don't know how to really judge who's well deserved. I think they're all well deserved. So
Yeah.
just congrats to him.
If it's
And
for
then
play on the field, then that was robbery. But
the Hall of Fame was. I don't think it was great for my opinion, but the four guys who got in, Sterling Sharp, well deserved, maybe a little late, but I mean he deserved it. Antonio Gates, well deserved, one of the best tight ends in NFL history. Luke Kuechly doesn't get in. We see Reggie Wayne not get in. Adam Vinatieri not get in. The greatest kicker of all time doesn't get a first ballot Hall of Fame. I guess that's just how it works. But the four guys who got in: Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, Eric Allen, and Antonio Gates. Crazy. I feel like they usually have more than four players, but I guess this year it's only four. Main robberies, like I said, Reggie Wayne doesn't get in again. Eli Manning doesn't get in as a two-time Super Bowl MVP or Super Bowl champion, and Adam Vinatieri as well. Luke Kuechly was also an option, but I don't think Luke Kuechly could have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I just don't. Only four guys. I think there's a lot of guys that should have gotten that didn't.
okay, you said Luke Kuechly was still on the board.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give a prediction for the 2026 class. I'm gonna go with Larry, Breeze, Vinatieri, and it's tough because it comes down. Is Edelman a first ballot Hall of Famer? Some people say he isn't.
If Edelman is a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's no way Reggie Wayne should not be in.
Does Reggie Wayne have a Super Bowl MVP?
He has a Super Bowl championship. I
The
mean, Torrey
MVP,
Holt as well isn't in the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
I think those are two guys who are easily better than Edelman.
Yeah, but the Super Bowl MVP plays a big part for people. Edelman's getting in. In my opinion, he's getting in at some point. I don't know if he'll be first ballot, but I think they go Larry, Breeze, Vinatieri, and I'll say, oh man, that fourth spot is tough. I'll I'll say they just give it to Kuechly. I'll say that that's the four they go with.
I mean, you look at Reggie Wayne's stats compared to Sterling Sharp. I think Sterling Sharp deserves to be in at a point, but I mean, Reggie Wayne has almost double the receptions of Sterling Sharp, almost double the receiving yards of Sterling Sharp.
Well, you
I
said
just think
last
that's
night he only
crazy.
got in because of his brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be part of it. Everyone always
Yeah,
sees Shannon Sharp's Hall of Fame speech where he says he's the second best player in his family. Obviously, Sterling Sharp's career was cut short due to injury. He only played 112 games, so that's kind of skewed. But I find it ridiculous that Reggie Wayne's not in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, I think he'll get in eventually.
I mean, he will eventually, but I mean, this was his third try, I think.
This is his third try,
Yeah, and I just think that's
and next year is almost a guaranteed no.
yeah. I mean,
But
even Vinatieri, that's the greatest kicker of all time.
who'll get in next year? I
He
think Vinatieri will be in next year.
Vinatieri's kicked a game-winning kick in a Super Bowl. There's really not many kickers that can say that.
Yeah, he, in my opinion, that's more of a robbery.
Yeah.
I just think it's insane. Best player at your position is crazy not to be in the Hall of Fame. How was this his first
I mean, Devin
opportunity?
Hester got in the Hall of Fame for being the best kick returner of all
And
time.
most of us disagree with that. I would say
I mean, even if
outside
I
of Bears
mean, there's a
fans,
lot of people that didn't disagree with it, but I
I
just
do.
maybe they'll both get in at the same time, and the Colts can get in like the Hall of Fame game.
There you go. That would be sick. Do we
I'd
know who
rather
the Hall
them
of Fame
just
game
do.
is going to be?
It'll probably be maybe like the Packers and the Vikings. No, they can't do a division game.
I don't
Packers
know.
and someone.
Yeah, we'll see who they end up going with.
Packers
But
Chargers.
I could see that. I could see that. But we have the Super Bowl in front of us, days away, 2 days away. We will preview this game and then give you some of our best prop bets here. We'll start with the preview. Chiefs are back again in the Super Bowl. The biggest story for me here is the Chiefs' run defense versus Saquon Barkley. No one has been able to stop Saquon all year, but the Chiefs have been elite against the run. They've been a little bit shakier over the past few weeks, but we saw them go out there and I'm not going to say dominate two playoff games, but it didn't feel like to me they were going to lose either one of those. If the Chiefs can hold Saquon Barkley to 100, 110 yards, they're going to win this game. You just cannot let, similar to what I said with the Jefferson Lions thing a few weeks ago, you just cannot let him go for 160, 170, and three touchdowns on you. You need to hold him to a touchdown and about 100 yards, and you're going to be in a good spot. In the event that Saquon isn't as dominant as he has been, Jalen Hurts is going to have to be special. Chiefs secondary has some holes in it and have had holes at points this year, but they've gotten healthier. They have a ton of players with playoff experience, and that is just so valuable. The Eagles' O line is going to need to play to their best potential. The matchups with Jones and Karlaftis versus Jurgens and Johnson are going to be huge matchups in this game. I'm worried about Jake Elliott and his recent struggles. If the Eagles need a field goal, they're probably going to be in trouble in this game. I expect the Chiefs to try to attack this Eagles defense over the middle. I'm worried about the Chiefs' ability to run the ball in this game. Neither Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco have really been good in the past few weeks, and the Eagles' defense has been really solid against the run, as we know. At the end of the day, for me, it comes down to a few things. One, I'm more confident in the Chiefs being able to overcome their offense not working than I am in the Eagles. Two, Andy Reid has a giant coaching advantage over Nick Sirianni. Andy Reid's one of the best of all time. Eagles have experience, but nothing compared to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Chiefs have the advantage in special teams by a mile. At the end of the day, if it comes down to a one score game and the Chiefs have the ball late, they're going to win. So the Eagles have to get up two scores late to be in a good spot here. And I truly can just not see that happening. So for the Super Bowl, been on him for a couple weeks now. I'm going to rock with the Chiefs minus 1.5. The line's getting really, it's actually one now, I think. But the line is getting closer and closer. It's essentially a pick 'em now. Very excited for this game, but I think we see the first ever three-peat in NFL history with the Kansas City Chief.
Yeah, that is a potential to happen. The three-peat. Both teams are on fire pretty much. The Eagles are 15-1 in their last 16 games. Their only loss there was the game where Jalen Hurts left after getting a concussion. Chiefs have gone 22-1 in their last 23 games, which is just a ridiculous stat. They've won 14 games with Taylor Swift in attendance. Just assuming she will be there most likely. It's a battle of two defenses that are very good. The Eagles have had the best pass defense in the NFL this season, only giving up 174 passing yards per game. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, a great quarterback in the NFL, one of the best playoff performers in the NFL, so he's still going to show up and probably have a good game. He's trying to become the fourth quarterback in NFL history to win 4 Super Bowls, joining Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Terry Bradshaw, 3 of the greatest quarterbacks in history. He's 3-0 in the playoffs when facing the NFL's top-ranked passing defense. He's 3-0 wearing white in the playoffs, and he is 8-0 versus the Eagles' defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. He's got Vic Fangio's number. I think Vic Fangio's a fantastic defensive coordinator. He knows what he wants to do to beat Mahomes. He just can't get it done. He's has the defense to do it. Mahomes is also 15-0 when playing indoors. That's just absurd. He's never lost indoors, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to go against that when you're making a pick for the game. On top of that, they had the extra week of rest where we know how great Andy Reid, like you said, he has the coaching advantage. He's 33-7 when he has an extra week to prepare. Mahomes is 14-2, having an extra week to prepare. They win a lot. They know what to do. I think the key spot in this game, I think there's two main spots for the Chiefs offense versus the Eagles defense. Obviously, the two most important ones I'd say is red zone offense and third down offense for the Chiefs. Chiefs offense is first in success rate on third down and fifth in EPA per play on third down. The Eagles defense is also very good in those situations. They were at minus 0.217 EPA per play and the fifth best defense in terms of success rate. EPA is expected points added. It's almost kind of like a war in baseball statistic. And then when you look at the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts, he's played this Chiefs team in the Super Bowl before. He was great in that game, but he's going to have to do that again if they want a chance. They obviously have Saquon Barkley now. That was something they were missing in one of the best running backs in the NFL, if not the best running back in the NFL. The Chiefs are a team that is very good against the run. No running back has ever rushed for 100 yards against the Chiefs in a playoff game under Steve Spagnuolo, 18 games in a row. We've seen Saquon Barkley make it to 100 in most games this season. He's going to have to, if he gets there, that's going to be a big plus for the Eagles. But I don't know if he'll be able to do that. The only player who got over 100 yards rushing in 2024 was Lamar Jackson, and he's not a running back, but he's elite, obviously. So Jalen Hurts is going to have a big game again if he wants to win this game. And the weakness for Hurts, we've talked about it most of his career, is when he's under pressure. He's not the same quarterback. He's an EPA per attempt when not pressured. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's basically there with Jared Goff, only behind Lamar Jackson. But EPA when pressured, he's in the bottom 5 of the NFL in EPA per attempt. He's going to be under pressure probably during this game. The Chiefs' zone blitzes are big for them. They get pressure at 51%, number 2 in yards per attempt allowed when they zone blitz. And Jalen Hurts has taken 10 sacks against a zone blitz and has a 17% sack rate, which is worst in the NFL. So just looking at all this, as much as I would like the Eagles to win and not prevent the Chiefs from three-peating, there's just so much going for this Chiefs team. They're so good in the playoffs. I bet against them last year, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. Mahomes, he's playing indoors, 15-0. Andy Reid, he's going to get it done. The Chiefs are going to get it done, and I'm also on the Chiefs minus whatever it is, 1.5.
Okay, so for these best bets, we only have one game for our main spread slash over under bet. So I think we're cool if we want to repeat this one. I'm obviously gonna we'll mix our prop bets up, but I'm obviously gonna go with the Chiefs -1. I'm assuming you are as well.
Yeah, I'm on Chiefs spread as well. I'd start under 48 because I don't know. I think it could be a defensive battle, but I'm not very excited about the under 48.5. I know most people are on over 48.5 at like 65%. So, but yeah, Chiefs 1.5 or Chiefs spread.
All right, so we'll both take that, and then you could start us off with prop bets. We'll do 3 prop bets each, and then talk about any ones we have remaining here.
For my first prop bet, I'm gonna go with Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown. I like him to find the end zone in this game against the Eagles defense. The Eagles don't give up many explosive plays. They want you to dink and dunk your way down the field, and I can see that happening. The Chiefs are very good at that. They'll play that style if they want to. They can throw it underneath. They have most of the season this year. And I think Xavier Worthy just catching a screen pass or just a slant, I think he can find his way in the end zone. So I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Xavier Worthy too. I'm gonna go with over 1.5 rush attempts. I think we see him go on a couple jet sweeps in this game. It's at plus 102, so I think that's pretty good value. I think we see at least one, and then this is a special game. Andy Reid's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, so I think he's gonna go out there and be creative with it. And I think we see Xavier Worthy get more than one carry. So give me that over 1.5 at plus 102.
Um, for my second one, I'm trying to find what the number is for receptions. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert,
Hmm.
5+ receptions at minus 137. I think that's going to be a guy that the Eagles and Jalen Hurts wants to throw the ball to. We know that the Chiefs defense is going to focus in on Saquon Barkley, obviously in the run game. Probably focus on AJ Brown. I could also see Devontae Smith as well getting 5+ receptions. But I'm gonna start. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith because I think one of those two guys is gonna have a big game, Goddard or Smith. And I'm gonna lean towards Devontae Smith. He's been great against the Chiefs. I think he averages like 6 catches and 117 yards against the Chiefs in his 3 career matchups. So I'm gonna go Devontae Smith, 5+ receptions actually.
All right, my next one here, I'm gonna go with the longest field goal made. Kansas City minus 130. Jake Elliott has had so many struggles, especially here in the playoffs and late in the regular season. And the Eagles are a team that if it's fourth and short in plus territory, they are going to be going for that more times than they're not. So I think the Chiefs attempt more field goals, thus getting the longest field goal made at minus 130. I think it should be way worse odds than that. So I will take that. Longest field goal made, Kansas City Chief minus 130.
Yeah, yeah, this is another one. I'm looking at Harrison Butker as well on +2 or +3 field goals. +2 is minus 177, +3 is plus 172. So just a big disparity there.
Mhm.
I see him easily hitting 2 field goals at minus 177, but I'm going to lean towards the Chiefs do kick 3 field goals, and I don't see him really missing. So I'm going to go Harrison Butker +3 field goals at minus 172 or plus 172.
Okay, my last one here, I will go with. Oh man, this is tough. Give me Mahomes over 29.5 rushing yards at minus 112.
I like that one
Mahomes
too.
runs like a dog in the playoffs. We know he's constantly scrambling. This is a low line here. And the other ones that I'm going to name here afterwards and the honorable mentions, I do like almost just as much, but I think Mahomes is going to be scrambling a lot as we've seen him do in previous Super Bowls, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I have one more, I guess, just like random one, and it's the classic Super Bowl over 2.5 players to have a pass attempt at
Mm.
plus 250.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Just get someone else to toss the ball. Maybe it's I don't know who could be a guy to a third guy to throw the football. Maybe the Chiefs or the Eagles go for a fake punt because they feel like they have to keep up with the Chiefs. I can see that happening.
I don't hate that at all. I have four extra ones here. Obviously, tails plus 100. Tails never fails. Got to go with that. I have a bit of a creative one here. First touchdown jersey number over 15 and a half. This is a tight line, but here's where you get the Saquons, you get the tight ends, you get Kelsey, you get Goddard. Obviously, you lose out on AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and the Kansas City receivers, but I like it to be a running back or a tight end, so I like over 15 and a half at minus 115. I also like a George Karlaftis sack. He has spent his entire career in the playoffs. He's for a second year player. He's very seasoned in the playoffs. Played a lot more playoff games than a lot of guys who have been in the league 10 plus years. I like his ability to get a sack. I think they're going to be very hyper focused on Chris Jones, and I think it's an opportunity where he can get a sack. And then my last one here, Jalen Hurts under 38 and a half rushing yards. He's banged up. I know he's had some time to rest, but he's banged up. We saw in the NFC Championship game, he wasn't truly running right. He only ended up finishing with like 16 or 17 yards, I think, in that game. And you get it so high here at 38 and a half that I'm going to take the under at minus 109. So those are my four honorable mentions here for the Super Bowl, but that will about do it.
I got one more, and it's both teams to complete their first pass attempt at minus
I
110.
love that too. I love that too. Because they're going to be going, I don't think they're going to be trying anything crazy. The Eagles might
Yeah,
not have their first pass attempt till the third quarter.
yeah. Who knows?
So I like that a lot. But that will about do it here for the Super Bowl episode of the Engage 8 podcast. If you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be back next week to recap the Super Bowl and talk about any other news that arises in the sports world. So thank you everybody for listening. Hit the links in our description for TikTok, Spotify, social media, and all that good stuff. And we'll see everybody in the next one.